Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mrs. T and you can call me Anai, and this is School with Mrs. T. So in this video we are talking about phonics and the phonics assessment, so let's get straight into it. With the phonics assessment, we want to know, what is the phonics assessment? This is an assessment for children who are in Key Stage 1, typically in Year 1 and sometimes in Year 2. So it's an assessment of their phonics knowledge at the end of Year 1, typically where children are aged 6 at the end of the academic year. And sometimes it's for children who are in Year 2 who perhaps have missed the phonics assessment in Year 1. And so the reason why they might take it in Year 2, if they have missed it due to illness, if they've missed it for any other reason, or if they didn't quite get the pass mark in that year, then they can retake it the following year in Year 2. So who is it for? Now, the phonics screen is for maintained schools. So this includes free schools, it includes academies as well, and includes SEND schools. So all of these schools, they will be able to take the phonics screen. Now, independent schools, according to the guidance on the government website, independent schools can't take the phonics screen. They will be able to access the assessment materials after the deadline. So after other maintained schools have already assessed their children at the end of June, that's when independent schools are able to access the test materials and able to assess their children as well. So children typically who it's not for, so children who are mute, children who haven't completed English, the first year of English study in the national curriculum, or children who are obviously not aged 6 by the end of the academic year, and perhaps children who don't have that understanding of grapheme to phoneme knowledge. They can't identify the sounds. They can't understand what the sounds mean. Then they are not eligible for the phonics assessment. So if your child falls under any of these, they don't take the phonics assessment, the phonics screen. So what does it look like? So typically in most schools, so in the schools that I've taught in, it can be the class teacher who assesses the children, but it can also be another class teacher from another class, or the head of year for that school, or whoever. Another member of staff can take the assessment, so long as obviously it's the same member of staff taking all of the assessments. Usually it tends to be the same member of staff taking the assessments, and they usually go in a different place, in a different location, in terms of a different room or a different space or area, so that it's quiet and just favorable, obviously, for the children to be able to focus, and they will be able to just focus on that particular assessment. And it's not daunting for the children. It's not scary at all. It's completely relaxed, actually. And usually that member of staff, they'll introduce the assessment, and they will either use the word assessment, or we are just having a look at some words, and just they will be able to explain exactly what the assessment is and what will be happening throughout that assessment. And so there's no need to worry. It's not stressful for the children. And some children tend to even enjoy the assessment themselves, the assessment itself. And so it's nothing to worry about. So in the assessment, there's 40 words in total. So 20 real and 20 fake. If you've ever heard your child say, oh, we're looking at alien words, that is what they mean. So pseudo words. So 20 real and 20 fake. It's a mixture of trigraphs, digraphs, CVC words, CVCC words. It's basically an assessment of all of their phonic knowledge, covering all of the phases. So if you're looking at read writing, it's covering all of those sounds that they've learned. If you're looking at letters and sounds, it's covering all of the phases that they have learned throughout reception and Year 1. So their learning really starts in reception and EYFS to be able to have those building blocks, because that forms a part of their early learning goals. And so they have that foundation. And then in year one, it's building on that foundation from reception and building on that knowledge to be able to then work towards this assessment and ultimately be able to have proficient readers. The teachers themselves, they won't know what words will be in the assessment. They don't know. And that is the best way, because that keeps it fair for all of the children. It doesn't give any other child an advantage over another. And so teachers will be teaching your children all of the sounds and the phases, and they'll be able to give them the best opportunity. So it can include trigraphs, it can include alternative sounds or alternative pronunciations for sounds. So like CH for K and C for K. So things like that. It has D, G, E for J, and then your J for J as well. So alternative pronunciations can come up in the actual phonics assessment as well. You've also got split digraphs. You've also got vowel digraphs in there, and I've mentioned trigraphs as well. So it's all of these, all included in this assessment. And what can I do to help as a parent? So as a parent, you can have a look at a ton of different phonics games, for instance, Phonics Play, or watching CBBS. They have Alpha Blocks, which is great for sounding out and blending. So segmenting and blending, that's a great game. So books such as this one, which is a phonics centered book. So now this is a great book in terms of sounding out. And if you have a look at the actual writing itself, it's also got some great simple writing that hasn't. So on the front, it's got that A that's a little bit different. Obviously, when you're reading for pleasure, you can explain that that's a different A. And, we write our A's in lots of different ways. That's fine. However, when we're learning our phonics, it's best to have just simple handwriting, simple letters, so that they are easily decoded by the children. So a phonics-centered book is a great resource. Another great resource that we got was a Flipchart. So this is another thing as well. So this particular game, you have to match all three, and it's a Flipchart, just like that. So you have to match all three. And again, it's got the great lettering in terms of really clear. It's got that handwriting as well. That's on a lot of model handwriting. So that's really good to be able to just support the learning that's taking place in school. Also got, so in some books, well, in a lot of books, you'll have tricky words as well as words that they can sound out and segment and blend. You've got, this is a good book as well. So this is sight words, so skills workbook. So for children to be able to just practice their sight. So some schools call them sight words. A lot of American schools call them sight words. A lot of English schools, a lot of UK schools will call them tricky words. And a lot of read, write, ink schools will call them red words. So these are the words that the children will just need to know, and they need to be able to read on sight. They can't segment, they can't blend these words, they can't decode them, they can't sound them out. And then another game as well. So this game we actually got from the charity shop. So it's another great thing. You don't necessarily have to buy everything brand new. You can always buy from the charity shops, from Facebook Marketplace, from Vinted, lots of different places where you can buy and purchase. So you've got the word, and then you've got the letters to be able to put together and make a word. And you can look at split digraphs, you can look at lots of different words. And even if you haven't necessarily got that picture, you can always make your own picture. They can always put those letters together to make completely new words, completely different words that are not in there, that you are practicing with your child and with your children. And so there's lots of different ideas there. So you can look at interactive games online, you can look at books, phonics centered books, you can look at flip charts, things that are so ready-made cards basically, and then you can look at games, more tactile games that you can make the words for. And so hopefully that was really useful for you. If you have got any tips in terms of resources that you have found really useful, please link them below. Please share. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.